Inside of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to play London without a sweep of Asia. Now, I'd say this is probably one of the most highly requested sort of questions I get. You would have seen a lot of my trades do actually incorporate this. I know the traditional way to play London is always to wait for some sort of sweep, which is good, don't get me wrong, I still do that. But there is another daily cycle that I will use which incorporates Asia actually creating a high of day and then London expanding. So first thing I want you to do, let me just move myself here, is I want you to imagine, right, that we're switching positions here on the cycles. So instead, right, of Asia building liquidity, London creating the high and then going down, and then New York expanding the move further, I want you to imagine that everything gets shifted to the right. So instead of, like I said, Asia coming through and building that consolidation, there'll be some sort of consolidation already built prior. Okay, then Asia is going to go ahead and sweep that as London would, and then London's going to act as New York, right, where we get that aggressive expansion to the downside. I'm going to show you this inside of a chart so you can actually see it a bit better. I'm going to show you on a trade that I actually caught. I posted it to the Discord. I potentially will put a screenshot in this video as well. But regardless, so I'm going to do a top down as well, just of this trade and exactly what we're looking at, because the bias is always the most important thing, right? You can't get to a daily cycle or look for a daily cycle if you don't know where price is going. So just to break it down quickly, we've gone ahead and we've pushed very aggressively to the downside. So our draw is this low and this FEG. We're just looking to continue lower. If you think about it, we're in the third week of the month here. So if you look at the way the weeks have actually progressed, we've got a nice power of 3 on the weekly. This being the third week, so I'm just anticipating it to expand lower as we typically would with a power of 3. So we go on to the daily now. We had this daily FEG, which we were in. Now we closed out of it ever so slightly, but I'd want a strong confirmation outside of that level to actually guarantee that we're going to go ahead and trade higher, right? So the trade that I was looking at was on this day here. Okay, so it's Tuesday on the weekly cycle as well. That's quite relevant. So let's break it down. And I'm going to show it like this. So like I said, we were bearish, right? We're looking for price to go lower. We're inside bearish arrays, this 4-hour FEG and also this 4-hour order block. Okay, we'd gone ahead, we'd swept liquidity, therefore I wanted to see a expansion to the downside, which you can see we clearly got. Okay, going on to the hourly, again becomes a bit more apparent. I like when we retrace like this, it's that sort of choppy like nature, basically showing that we want to go ahead and expand to the downside, right? When we have that slow momentum to the upside, it's typically what a retracement is looks like and what we'd like to see a retracement look like. Just gonna mark up this low as this was an area of profit taking for me. Now I'm actually going to show you this on DXY as well, because it makes a little bit more sense on DXY, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so let's just go over to DXY. So just remember all the sort of framework that I've provided there. Now we're going to hop onto DXY that pretty much has the identical framework, so I'm not going to do a top-down analysis of this just for the sake of keeping this video concise. But here's the cycle basically, right? So if we go on the daily as well, I'm going to mark on previous day's low. So typically what you're going to want to see of Asia is Asia sweep out previous day's low. Now it doesn't have to sweep previous day's low, but when it does sweep previous day's low, it's pretty much a green flag, right? We prefer to see PDL get swept. So PDL gets swept during Asia. Asia forms that aggressive sort of V-shaped recovery. Pretty much when London then starts, we're just anticipating London to run it very aggressively. That's pretty much it. So again, if you think about it, this is Asia, right? If you're looking at a classic London protraction, this would have been Asia, this would have been London, and this would have been New York. So like I said, everything sort of shifted to one direction, so that instead of London going ahead and sweeping, Asia has. So another question you might get as well, how do I know that this isn't equal lows and price is going to go lower? You want to use the idea of a CSD and also the sort of that market structure shift plus the idea of a V-shaped recovery. Now this actually has an additional confirmation. In this example, we also have SMT, right? So if you can tell on this one, right, previous day's high is actually up here. So we actually have some SMT between Asia and previous day's high. Now that, for me, just further increases the probability of the trade and of the movement. So again, if I'm looking for the week, right, to expand to the downside, and let's actually use some of the tools that I've been mentioning in the last two videos. So if you've been keeping up with these like sort of series of videos that I've been doing, first of all, in terms of draw, we've got previous week's low, right? So using that daily bias rule, if I mark on the weekly open, which was a tool that I mentioned from last week's video, okay, we can see that we were above the weekly open in an event where we were looking for price to be bearish on the week. Okay, so that just further increases the probability of our trade. Thinking about it from a smart money perspective, so I made a video on how to think like smart money. Price has gone ahead and ran above an old high. Smart money has looked to position their orders, right, pair their short orders with willing buyers above this high, where they're looking to distribute their positions to, right, old lows. That is why my target is there. This was an area I was looking for price to fill it in, but in terms of timing and just simply where price ended up running to, this was my major target. A lot of the time for TPing, I'll use time and price, so I'm looking for price to basically line up with the end of the session. So let's actually have a look and see what else there is to this. So on the hourly, you can see a breakdown. We have a nice market structure shift and an FEG here as well. I will say though, DXY just looks so clean from an hourly perspective, and the fact that we took this low out, shifted higher, FEG very, very, very clean. So in terms of an entry, I kept it very, very simple. As I've mentioned a lot of the times, the way my strategy works is I'm looking for, number one, the bias, then number two, to align the daily cycle with it. So in this event, we had a bearish bias. We're looking to have a bearish week come in. We were above the weekly open, which makes the trade nice and high probability. And then, simply put, we saw an Asia high of day cycle forming, which therefore we wanted to then see some sort of shorts. And in terms of an entry, I mean, there's a million ways to go about doing it. I kept it very, very, very simple. For me, we had a nice market structure shift plus FEG, and I entered there. And that is literally it. There's not much more to it. If I can remember, the SL was, I think I did put it above Asia, and price ran to, what do we get, max 3.25 risk to reward. At the low, I ended up taking off 70%. I ended up closing out a 2R, and then the rest of the trade basically came out and hit me out break even, right? So in terms of the idea, it was great. I was really happy with that. And this is, do you know what? This is a key lesson in that even if your bias doesn't pan out, you can still make money, right? So the fact that, I guess the bias did pan out in the sense that I was correct on the session. So in London, I was correct on, but on this specific day of me looking for the New York to expand lower, I wasn't essentially correct there. Now, I didn't take any trades in New York, so it's completely fine. But I guess it's a sort of lesson to understand that even if the day doesn't go in your direction, if you've got the sort of the bias on the session correct, you can still go ahead and make money, right? So that is pretty much it. I hope this has answered quite a few questions surrounding this cycle. It's something I've never actually touched on. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy that, digest it, go ahead and find these examples in price yourself and see if it really works. Also, if you'd like a breakdown of my trade model, then I'm going to leave that as the first link in the description. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you later in the next one.